Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'd like to welcome you all on another interesting webinar on RegTech, regulation technologies, and fintech, role of fintech. And today we are very fortunate to have two experienced panelists today. We have Mr. Bilal Rasul Saab, who is the Executive Director and Head of Islamic Finance at SECP, Securities and Exchange Commission, Pakistan. He is an experienced regulator. He is also very much, promoting the fintech and the technological revolution from the regulator side. Then we have Mufti Irshad Ahmad Aijaz Sahab, who is the chairman of Shariah Board of State Bank, Shariah Advisory Committee of State Bank of Pakistan, and also the chairman of the Shariah Board of SECP Pakistan. So we have a very senior and experienced panel today, and I'll start the proceeding of this webinar with the recitation of Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Once again, I like to welcome all the panelists we have here today, and I like to welcome all the participants who have joined us today through Zoom or who have joined us today through Facebook. This webinar is on a very emerging topic, and that we feel at IBA Center for Excellence in Islamic Finance that this is a topic that we need to now focus on. And we are also very thankful to Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, who have collaborated with IBSC for this webinar. RegTech, or regulation for Islamic fintech, this is the buzzword today in today's world, and people understood this RegTech or regulatory technology in different dimensions. For some, it is the automation of the regulatory reporting regime. For some, it is the regulations for the new emerging models of business like fintech, and for some it is incorporating the new ideas like blockchain, cryptocurrency, and crowdfunding. So let's understand today from our experts what is actually this RegTech and how Pakistan is seeing it from the regulatory point of view, and also from a Sharia point of view, what challenges we see when we talk about RegTech, and how we can benefit Pakistan and our financial industry and Islamic finance industry with this new emerging trend. So without any delay, I like to ask my first panelist, Mr. Bilal Rasul Saab, who is, as I mentioned, he is the Secretary of the Commission, an Executive Director, and Head of Islamic Finance at Securities and Exchange Commission, Pakistan. So Bilal Saab, I will start with you, and I'd like to invite you for your talk and for your expert opinion about what is this RegTech and how we can benefit, and how the role of SECP to promote this new concept in Pakistan.
Thank you, Ahmed. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All participants, brothers, sisters, thank you for joining us today. The SECP is very honored to be collaborating with IBA CEIF, an initiative that is an alliance between two other centers of Islamic finance. I'm glad to be here and honored to have with us Irshad Saab, who's like Ahmed Ali Saab has said, very senior and an experienced a scholar of Islamic finance. He's chairman of SECP's Sharia board, the State Bank's Sharia board, and I think a couple of other boards. He's a good friend as well. And we basically today just want to give a little flavor to the participants and the viewers on what exactly is RegTech. Ahmed Ali's just explained, I think, very crisply what regulatory technology is. But I'll just go into a little bit of detail on from the regulator's point of view, and as a regulated entity or a company that is indulging in financial technology or is pursuing technology as its future modus of operations. When we speak of fintech, we understand that it's financial technology, and it's everything to do with artificial intelligence, big data, blockchain technology, the application interfaces, databases, anything to do with technology. And when we see that a lot of the companies and a lot of the financial services and generally transactions around the world are transforming into technology-based solutions, then regulation of these transactions becomes ever more different. In a manner of speaking, and I've been saying this in the last two webinars as well, this disruption is basically when old processes are replaced by new technological changes, and this disruption is coming quicker than we can really handle. I would say that it's becoming very, very difficult because of the pace of the technological changes. The regulations or the regulatory environment will definitely change with the disruption through technology, because fintech has entered into a very rapid phase of development. We see the proliferation of startups and other new entrants. This poses a fresh challenge for regulators, and basically it necessitates a change in regulation technology. Now, regulation technology can be seen from both angles, from the regulator as well as the regulated entity, like I said. So companies, startups, businesses, firms, they need to come up with solutions that streamline and improve regulatory processes. Generally, everyone will see that compliance is going to become much more difficult because it will become more complicated. But at the same time, technology can help improve the compliance outcomes and the risk management capabilities, and as well as decision making. For instance, databasing, you'll see that general conventional regulatory compliance will not be based on paper, or it's not going to be a printout or a show cause notice or anything that is paper based, but everything will become based on technology and how companies and firms are supposed to ensure compliances and their regulatory obligations for fulfilling compliances. And RegTech basically is the answer to that. Institutions will automatically package business into standard higher formats according to specifications, and basically supervisory agencies will be accessing central databases. There will be real-time access for the regulator, in which operational data can be analyzed, and even accessed by institutions, monitor those transactions on a real-time basis. Other than real-time supervision, there will be an automated implementation of supervisory measures, such as sending automatically created direction for capital increases, or filing of accounts for that matter, or any other regulatory obligation that is required. So in uh, uh, in Pakistan at the SECP, we are not very uh, advanced in RegTech as yet. Like I said, it's a very new concept. We are in the process of developing the regulatory environment. Companies will have to come up with solutions because there will be just an abundance of data that will have to be collated, and it will have to be database data warehoused, and all sorts of information will need to be tailored and analyzed so that the regulator is satisfied as far as the regulatory obligations are concerned. Um, so, I mean, this is in a very general manner of speaking, but when we come to Sharia compliance and Sharia compliance of financial technology, and then obviously the regulation technology will also cater to the Sharia aspect of information and data. Just to give you a little background, SECP has very recently, or rather in 2019, the SECP issued regulatory sandbox guidelines. And this is basically a tailored regulatory environment for conducting limited scale live tests of innovative products, services, processes, and business models in a controlled environment for a limited period of time. The sandbox is primarily applicable for new product, services, or business models which have not been addressed under existing laws and regulations. The existing laws and regulations, I mean the conventional regulatory environment. The first cohort was announced in 2019, and we have just recently announced the second cohort of this regulatory sandbox. And we're inviting applications from April 15th to May the 14th. This is where Islamic fintech startups can also apply with their innovative and unique ideas. So plenty of benefits for financial services, especially as far as RegTech is concerned. There are efficiency gains as regulation continues to grow. It becomes impossible for compliance personnel to keep up without the aid of technology. Technology capable of processing a high volume of data at incredible speeds can quickly analyze raw legal text and extract valuable insights. There will be greater accuracy and comprehensiveness. Manual siloed processes tend to create gaps in the compliance operation, leading to human error and increased exposure. Implementing the right technology and integrating those technologies thoughtfully where necessary can fill up the gaps and create a streamlined compliance process. There will be greater internal alignment. Technology tools enable greater transparency through business, connecting the people and processes. And the result is better insights between business units that can be shared faster, which also leads to a stronger culture of compliance. Improved risk and Sharia management. Many RegTech tools have helped protect against various types of risk, like I said, Sharia risk, including market abuse, cyber attacks, fraud, monitoring systems, and alerting personnel to suspicious activities. So whether you have a full staff of compliance analysts or a compliance team, there is numerous hours that are spent on monitoring new rules and changes to regulations. Traditionally, personnel have captured this information manually from different sources, but RegTech would make this possible and make things a lot easier. And after a firm or a company identifies its obligations, it is standard for teams to write their policies and procedures around those requirements. So this is something that you will find as a startup or as a company, that you will be tailoring your policies and procedures around whatever the regulatory requirements are. I mean, it's something that is inevitable. It'll have to be done. But this does not mean it makes things more complicated. It makes things more facilitative, actually. Business intelligence, drawing reports. It not only helps the regulator, but also helps the company, and on the number of benefits that I've already explained. And it becomes clear in terms of which departments need to be involved in order to help maintain compliance. I'm just today, I think we'll just give you an overview on exactly what RegTech is. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, and I would admit at this point of time, the SECP and the regulators are already, they're arrested with the issue of the need for coming up with regulation technology, and we are still not there in terms of understanding what will be a full and comprehensive set of regulatory standards, or what the environment should really entail. But I think we're here, SCP is here to share and to take your input and your feedback on the different aspects of regulation technology. We are, like I said, experimenting with the regulatory sandbox, and we're trying to understand in terms of the different the models and the solutions that are coming to us, and in terms of what it requires to ensure the security of the investor or the trader or the business overall. I would I would like to now hand over to Mufti Irshad Saab and listen to his views on the subject, and in terms of Islamic finance, on what is his opinion on the future of fintech and RegTech in Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bilal Saab, for your remarks and your input about the role of RegTech. And that is, I think, the important thing is that the regulator has recognized the importance of this RegTech and the use of technology in the supervision process and the regulatory monitoring process. And also, one very important thing is the recognition of the fact that for the new business models, you need new type of regulations. And as Mr. Bilal Saab mentioned, that the sandbox that SECP has, the sandbox concept is it's like a isolated ecosystem where the new startups are allowed to work within that particular framework, which is not otherwise covered in the normal regulation. And this is an approach that other countries like Singapore has taken. They have established regulatory sandbox, and the fintechs were allowed to operate within that framework. And then once this model was successful, that was incorporated in the wider regulation. And also the use cases of regulatory technology, or the use of the technological innovation from the regulatory point of view, is now increasing. And we see like AML KYC is one of the area where banks have pain that they have to do it separately. The regulatory reporting, they have to do the same. They have to share the same type of data in say 10 different formats. Then there are manual errors of reporting. So these are few of the dimensions of RegTech. And now, without further delay, I would request Mufti Irshad Ahmed Aijaz Saab for his expert view and how he see the emerging regulatory technologies, and from a Sharia compliance point of view, how he sees, and especially from the technology that are emerging, and they create some regulatory challenges as well as Sharia challenges for us. So, Irshad Saab, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Ali, and thank you, Bilal bhai. Ahmadu salli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. This is a very important and I think interesting topic of today's. And when we discuss about fintech and the development from technological perspective, there are three aspects that generally we discuss in every forum. These are three aspects. One is regulatory aspect, on which Bilal bhai has comprehensively expressed his views. And the second aspect is the Sharia aspect, and the third aspect is business aspect. And obviously, the business aspect, everyone knows that every potential thing which is possible on technology, that is now that these type of opportunities are now being explored by business people. So when we talk about Sharia aspect, which should be my topic, basically there are multiple potential things which require compliance and control from Sharia and regulatory perspective, because sometime the opinion on any matter depends on regulatory position from the country as well. For example, look at the example of Bitcoin or crypto assets. Majority of the Sharia scholar in the world, they are of the view that there should be a support from government. I mean, legal support, legislation in favor of this currency, so that we can say that the use of this currency or crypto assets is safe, because nowadays everyone knows that many fraud and potentially business abusive schemes, they are using crypto assets, or for that matter Bitcoin or multiple type of coin, to take just the money and the confidence of the investor, and they are doing nothing. So there are multiple Sharia opinion. They are dependent on the position of the government. If the government say that this is not permissible business, Sharia scholar will also say that this is not permissible in your country or in your area. So the first very important aspect from Sharia perspective, there are two type of the things on which we will focus. The first thing, something which is prohibited from Sharia perspective, whether it belongs to riba or belongs to some unethical practices in contract, which we call gharar, or unexplained or non-transparent transaction. And thirdly, the transaction that are offshoot of gambling, like derivative and some other malpractices which have not been recognized by Sharia scholar the world over. So these are the first problem. And the second problem is that, is there any regulatory requirement or regulatory condition on particular utilization of particular thing? So these are two types for which Sharia scholar generally see. So potentially there are multiple things for which these type of regulations are required from Sharia and from regulatory perspective. For example, smart contract, very famous topic of this day. How can we execute smart contracts? Is there a requirement from Sharia perspective that no machine acceptance cannot be accepted, or how much human involvement will be required for smart contract? These are some topics which we generally discuss multiple forum and research forum. So from the regulatory perspective, there should be, from Sharia compliance perspective, there should be a control and at least some parameters on the basis of which we can say that these type of contracts are permissible and these are not permissible. So obviously this required Sharia perspective and setting a minimum standard on the basis of which these contracts may be accepted. And the second thing, the crypto asset and currencies, for which we know that cryptocurrencies are now used as a very important portfolio of investment. Whether it is a very good approach or not, I'm not commenting on this, but obviously everyone in the country is now interested, whether he has 10,000 in pocket or 10 million in pocket, that he must have some portfolio in crypto assets and cryptocurrencies especially. And there is a little focus on crypto assets and tokenization of assets. But obviously, these are some practices which will be common in coming 5 to 10 years, very common in Pakistan, obviously. So from Sharia perspective, there are a lot of debates in Sharia circle. If you go to any WhatsApp forum or any Facebook forum or any Sharia circle or the international conferences that are being held by multiple organizations or governments, these topics are discussed here. So at least setting a minimum standard and preparing a regulation from Sharia perspective for acceptability or rejection of this type of smart currencies or smart crypto assets, it should be required. Look at the example of, which is not belong to tech, fintech, but look at the example of multi-level marketing company. They are functioning in the country for almost 30 or 40 years. I remember when I was a student, there was a company started the business, a business with the name of the business. And now they are coming in a multiple different startup. Now they are coming with these type of crypto assets and currencies. And if we go through multiple researches, if you go to any Darul Ifta, any Sharia forum, so they are generally confused. They say, we don't know whether this is permissible in the law or not. So I think this type of regulatory framework that is prepared, keeping in view Sharia requirement and regulatory requirement, will serve this purpose, inshallah. And if you look at the digital payment solution, very common digital payment solution, there are multiple mobile phone companies that have launched their payment solutions, and they are offering something which, from Sharia perspective, sometimes we have some reservation on it. For example, multiple Easy Pesa account, digital wallet, which is offered by these mobile phone companies in shape of microfinance banks. So they offer some benefits, or at least they offer some free minutes. So there are Sharia question whether a person who has deposited some money in these accounts, he has authority or he has permission to use these type of returns, which are sometime in shape of the services, sometime in shape of the minutes, or sometime they offer rupees and 10 rupees. If you utilize this service, we will offer you a cashback. So there are sometimes these are permissible and sometimes these are not permissible. So this is another requirement for Sharia compliance. And also online trading platform, multiple trading platform, the integration between trading platform and payment solution, and the offers, that is offer of financing between these platform and banks. Multiple bank offer credit facility on the basis of the credit card, and maybe some Islamic bank, they may start integration with these online trading platform. So there are financing opportunities also. There are payment commission structures also. So these are possible ways of utilization of fintech in this segment, and which require Sharia and regulatory controls. Very very important need of these sectors. And also the fee-based solution for business integration, marketing and distribution channels and marketing. Multiple time Islamic banks, they have Islamic banks or Islamic financial institutions, they have a relationship with some services or some companies which are offered some services or some products. So this type of integration, how much is it possible, and what kind of products which are offered? These are some very important areas where we need Sharia compliance. And obviously the document, the conventional way of the controlling of Sharia compliance, in which we use documents and paper, I think there are two problems. The first thing is that we do not have such a big infrastructure. Obviously, these payment solutions and these services are offered on the basis of very good infrastructure, but less human resources. So first of all, we do not have these type of human resources. And secondly, the paper-based compliance system, obviously it's a slow and a lazy system, which cannot cater requirement of these type of very fast-moving development in financial technology. What would be the objective of the Sharia compliance, Sharia regulation, Sharia regulation technology, or regulatory technology, what would be the objective? There are multiple objectives. The first objective may be the Sharia compliance, the control of good Sharia compliance mechanism. I have seen a presentation of a company that has prepared online auditing and online Sharia compliance system for Islamic banks. Now they are testing the company. They are testing, and what they have offered that after the coming of introduction of the digital Islamic banks or digital bank in some countries, or these centralized operation based in a single city, and but the business is disbursed in more than 10 cities or 100 cities. So to control these type of this infrastructure or dispersion of the business, so the best solution is a Sharia compliance system, which can be integrated with the smartphone as well. So now any auditor, any the compliance person, he can report through a small smartphone, which is integrated with the system, which is prepared for Sharia compliance. So if there are some regulation, obviously, when they presented this proposal to multiple Pakistani banks, they simply replied that this is not according to the requirement of central bank Sharia compliance. So for this, we need to have some infrastructure or some regulation approved by our regulatory authority. Later on, we can do this thing. And thirdly, control and operational contractual requirement. This is very important subject for Islamic financial institution. Multiple times they execute murabaha and salam and istisna, these type of transaction. And because of the fast moving nature of the business or 24-hour operational nature, sometimes Islamic bank cannot perform proper audit or proper control of contractual requirement of murabaha, salam and istisna. And sometimes we face, and some Sharia auditor and Sharia compliance people see and feel that the documentation that is prepared by the relevant relationship manager may not be of that true nature, may be fake. But obviously, these are some doubts. There is no solid reason, solid evidence that the documentation has been prepared according to the benchmark or not. But because these type of solution can help from Sharia perspective to control these elements which are present here. Obviously, some other strengthening business move from Sharia perspective, financial inclusion, ease in financial inclusion, quick control in fraud and market abuse. This is very important. And obviously, SECP has experienced this thing up to some years back in 2016, 17, and 18. Then when fraud Mudaraba scheme came, and Mudaraba sector faced difficulties when they present themselves as a Mudaraba, everyone start criticizing them. You are people who are cheating. So for this, SECP has, I have seen a center from SECP, maybe probably it was established in Balakot or in somewhere. So they have set up proper institution or something like that for awareness. And they showed and they delivered some lecture to the general public that this is not that Muzaraba, which are fraud Mudarabas. So obviously, this type of regulatory control will help also to this type of fraud and misuse of business techniques and abuse of the market. And research and development, which is a very important area for Islamic banking and for Islamic financial institution. I think for this regulatory setup, for Sharia compliance and for regulatory, the utilization of fintech will help. I remember I was discussing this point with some of my colleagues that almost 15 years are there on Islamic banking industry in Pakistan, banking and non-banking financial institution, all the whole ecosystem, banks and takaful companies and mudarabas and also asset management companies. But there is no compilation or compendium of the fatwas issued by the Sharia boards of these institutions. And obviously, because it will take time. And if we have these type of a smart solution and technology-based solution, maybe the compilation and coordination between institutions may be very easy from the perspective of research and development. So I think these are some aspects from Sharia perspective, which can be achieved by the regulatory technology, or for that matter, we say Sharia compliance and these type of technologies. And obviously, if regulatory authorities bring some change and introduce some rules for this type of development, so it will be helpful, inshallah, as I think.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you, Dr. Irshad Ahmed Aijaz Saab, for your presentation, for your views. Now, what I would like to have is because we have the option of asking questions from our panelists. The participant can type their questions in the chat box, and I will take these questions to the panelists. I also like to highlight some of the ethical issues that the emergence of this technology and advance of this technology has created. And unless we have robust regulations, we can the consumer can face issues in the area of data sharing. How much my data can be shared with others? Privacy issues. Will my data be private with the company, or if these new fintechs can share them, and if they share them, who will catch them? Is there any law, or they can just walk out freely without being caught? Then similarly, the abuse of customer because of his privacy is now his private data is public. Then financial loss can happen because of my data sharing, like my card numbers are shared. Recently we have heard that one of the taxi operating company, they have because of the data leak, certain passwords and the personal information, the date of birth, and these data was leaked, and it can went up to in wrong hands. So this is an area of concern for the general public, as well as the regulator is also thinking about it. So with I would like to take this question first to Mr. Bilal Rasul Saab. So technology has created positives, but it has also created these ethical issues and concerns, which if not handled can damage can create problem for the common man. Your views on it?
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed. Fraud is certain, whether it's in the conventional environment or it's in the digital environment. You just need to improvise. But I think with technology, you have the upper hand in basically locating and pinpointing the source of fraud. It's easier as well. Levels of security have to be ensured, no doubt. These are problems that will definitely come up, as technology advances, the methods and the criminal, the criminal attempts and the various methods for cracking or hacking or accessing confidential information. These are eventualities that you will have to face, and you'll have to have contingencies for. So I don't discount any of these. As a regulator, our regulations and our systems have to be foolproof. Customer information confidentiality has to be ensured, but that is one of the challenges, definitely, that a regulator will have to cope with. But something that is definitely is not cannot be discounted, and it's something that is that we'll have to improvise and come up and adapt to such situations, definitely.
One question that comes to mind, I'll ask Bilal Saab first from you, and then to Mufti Saab, that now we have seen different vendors and apps who are offering some sort of wallets in their applications, like Kareem was doing it, Daraz is now doing it, and now they are without a banking license, without a regulatory license or a framework. Actually they are storing my money. your money or even anyone's money. And now they are offering those additional services. Yes, it looks good when you get these discounts, but this also create a serious maybe challenge if there are not some guidelines to them, some regulations to them. This thing can become problematic for us.
Yes, absolutely right, Ahmed. I think this is exactly what I meant, that the environment is changing much faster than the regulator would like it to be, although we would not like to impede the progress, but the regulatory environment regime or whatever framework that needs to be there, I think that should be in place very, very soon. But if we'll be lucky that we don't have any major issues or major scandals that there is a lot of potential for, in what you're talking about. It's alhamdulillah, the apps that are out there that are using wallets, there is a general confidence level which is there, and it's very heartening to know, but definitely potential for fraud is there. And I think there is fraud that is happening. Maybe it's not at such a large scale, but the sooner the regulator comes in, or the regulators, as soon as they step in and they police the technological space, the better, definitely.
Ijaz Sahab, Irshad Sahab, I'll come to you. First, I will give these ethical issues that have been created by the technology. My data can be shared with anyone. My information can be leaked to anyone. Even my data can be sold to anyone. This is another trend. So from a Sharia point of view, from those companies who want to do it Sharia compliant, what is the limit probably, and how to address this challenge of data leakage, data selling, data privacy?
See, basically, for the data, this is the data according to the Sharia, the property of the person the data belongs to. So all the information of any individual cannot be leaked, sold, or given to any other person except with the permission of this person. For example, if a company wants to sell the data, first of all, at the time of the obtaining data, this company should declare that we may sell your information. And in case this person does not allow, they should not sell. So leakage of the data, or giving of the data without compensation, or even selling it without the permission of the person who has the data or the information is not permissible, and it is not permissible in any legal system, not in Sharia only, but in any legal system. But unfortunately, as far as I know, that institutional level, probably this practice is not there. But those who are operating, especially in the IT department and on business, sometimes they steal the data and they sell. Obviously, this is not permissible, and there should be some control on it. And everyone should be careful about selling and giving the data. And this is for the very famous hadith that this is amana, al-majalis bil amana. Majalis does not mean that the session. It means anything between two persons on the basis of amana. It is an amana in hand. And Holy Prophet ﷺ said this is one of the evidence of a person who is being munafiq, that he does not care about amana. Every time he is given an amana, he must breach this trust. So this is not the sign of the good person. And even if a person does this thing, it can be sued in a court of law from the Sharia perspective as well. So this is the first thing. And the second point that you raised in front of Bilal bhai, and this is very important, these companies that offer wallet services, it means they're taking money from the general public and offer them. There are any other organization or technology platform that offer is keeping the money in their wallet. So what is the meaning of this? Obviously, if they are providing some payment solution coupled with their marketing solution, So in this case, if they receive money in their pocket, on their wallet, uh, and offer some services, obviously this may be a concern from Sharia perspective, because if when they take money, obviously if it is based on the purse or it is a partnership basis, and this is the same problem that we generally face in the services which are offered by these microfinance banks, which are now owned by mobile companies. They offer general public to deposit their money in their account, and then they offer some minutes or cashback or some discount and some gifts. So from Sharia perspective, when we prepare a regulation, obviously we should look from Sharia perspective as well, because after all, these things will increase in future. We do not expect that these things will decrease in future. And this one of the way of generating resources, financial resources, just to offer them to maintain a wallet with them. And if, for example, if they create 10 million or 100 million, this will be free of cost. So this is very lucrative way of creating deposit from general public. So it should be seen from this Sharia perspective as well.
Thank you, Mufti Saab. You highlighted, I think, one of the very important concern that from a Sharia point of view, if your company, obviously banks and regulated financial institutions are not doing it, but these small startups, fintechs, they are, we have seen or we have heard about the practices of sharing data or selling your insights, and which is against the concept of amana in Islam, and without the permission. The law also doesn't allow, and the Sharia also doesn't allow this type of practice. Now I'll move to another query that I have seen a couple of participants have asked, is about the cryptocurrency. The concept of cryptocurrency is there are two parts of it. From a Sharia point of view, is it possible to have this concept allowed, or from the regulatory point of view, what is our regulatory stance about this? So first I'll ask Mufti Irshad Sahab, then Bilal, Rasul.
Ahmed, this is the very famous question nowadays, and in every circle, everywhere, you will find this question, whether in Far East, Middle East, Africa, and any other country. And every day we receive around 10 questions about this cryptocurrency. So I think the modern opinion, or we can say the balanced opinion on this, is that majority of the Sharia scholars say this is permissible with two conditions. The first thing is there should be a control by government. And there are two types of control by the government. The first is government take over the issuance of this currency. And the second is at least government prepare regulation like for other assets like shares and bond. So at least there should be a framework under which this currency should be permissible in any country, because there are multiple threats for any country in this, because the one feature that is presented as a beauty, that is decentralization. I think this is the most dangerous thing for any country, especially the countries like Pakistan, that this is non-centrally regulated. So at least the recognition by the government, the first condition. And then the second condition is, if it is known in the general public as a crypto asset, as a cryptocurrency, on certain standards, which are different standards, but with the blockchain and other many requirements. So if it fulfill these two conditions, then we can say this is permissible. And multiple scholars, they are reluctant to issue a fatwa if there is no government recognition or control or laws for this, because they say in that case we do not know what kind of damage to any person, to people, to general public can be there, because obviously it does not carry any intrinsic value. So it is just based on the acceptance. So like the paper currency does not have any intrinsic value or a very negligible intrinsic value, but it is accepted on the basis of government backing. If there is a government banking or acceptance by law, it would be very, very easy for us, for Sharia scholar, to accept it.
We have seen the governor state bank's statement that Pakistan is also
Yes.
exploring to issue digital
Exploring,
currency.
yes.
So if Pakistan government from the authority of the government issued such currency or such maybe
Maybe there
assets.
are there are two type of things possible. The first thing is the government of Pakistan allow companies inside Pakistan to issue cryptocurrency, or government start issuing itself cryptocurrency, replacing the physical currency. This is the first possibility. And the second, there is a recognition. For example, the dollar is recognized by the government of Pakistan as a acceptable currency. So there are some rules for trading in dollar. So there must be some rule in trading of Bitcoin. Look at those who are investing in Bitcoin and other foreign currency. They are exporting the Pakistan reserves outside country without any control. Obviously, this is very dangerous. So there must be some control. So if there are these type of control are there, I think this can be allowed on the basis of majority of the Sharia scholar. They are in favor if these controls are there.
Ji Bilal sahab, what regulator should do? This is coming very fast.
Yeah, Ahmed, again, like I said, it's still premature. SECP is still considering, it's in the process of formulating law or regulations for the matter, and it's still in the pipeline. So no verdicts as yet, but definitely there is a Sharia angle to this as well, which Mufti Saab is very succinctly, he's explained. But as far as the regulator is concerned, we're in the process of experimentation and it's in the process of formulation. So a little premature at this stage to give you a certain answer on anything.
One of the benefit that we read in the literature about the technology, the RegTech, the fintech is the financial inclusion. You can make people on board to the banking system, to the financial system without the physically coming into the branch or have giving long list of documents. So I think this area, what is your view? How because keeping in view the low penetration of the financial sector, I think this is a great opportunity for us in Pakistan if we capture this, if we allow people. Still today, the branch requires say that every customer should come physically to the branch and give the biometrics and this and that. Otherwise, you can't open your account. So, how to change this mindset? I think I could say.
Right. Okay, I'll go first then. Ahmed, absolutely right. This is the future. This is the biggest potential in Pakistan, financial inclusion, access to finance by the remote areas, by the rural population, through smartphone, financial technology, and obviously RegTech. But very, very opportune time for the Islamic banking industry to capitalize on this this chance to gain a substantial part of the market. And already, you see the disruption, but all financing needs, all financial transactions, all financial trade, I see it as the future. And for Pakistan, I don't think there could be a better opportunity to include those that were financially previously excluded. And I think it's a fantastic system. It's a fantastic, it's a cheaper and more economic, it's a more efficient, it's a more transparent system. So all advantages are there. Yes, like you already pointed out, there will be elements of fraud and there will be elements of other misdeeds, but I think again that's where the regulator comes in, and if enforcement is good, then that can counter a lot of your problems. But this is very rightly said, that's the future of Pakistan.
Recently, we also heard, and I'll take this question toward Mufti Irshad and Aijaz Saab, that KPK government has formed a task force to explore the probably issuance of a digital currency or digital, I think, mining of these currencies. and they have now probably they have some thought process from from the government side. So how you see this? And some of the people have two objections on this. One, this is mainly used as a speculation, for a speculation, or black money to white money, or doing some illegal deeds, transactions, the cryptocurrency. Secondly, its impact on the environment. People said that the amount of energy these mining technology or techniques take is a lot. Again, your views on it.
See, I have also been invited in this committee, which has been formed. They were kind enough to invited me, and they invited me, and I think that this is a very preliminary level. They are doing preliminary level discussion to explore what is possible, and then maybe they will present their recommendations to government, and then later on the matter of law and other things will come there. And two things are there. The first thing is obviously cryptocurrency, like any other possible portfolio, it has price volatility, and this is a very common practice in general publics. Whenever there is a high volatile product, they call it as a speculative product or a satta. But obviously, there are multiple things which are very high in nature. Some stocks and some scripts are also very volatile in nature. So just the volatility in the price does not mean that there is a gambling. If there is a proper asset, maybe very volatile, so it may be considered as acceptable in Sharia. The problem is those who are investing in this, are they following the legal way? How they buy sitting in Pakistan this currency, and how they transfer their money outside of Pakistan in permissible way, non-permissible way? How do they use their exchange? I don't know. And obviously, if this is something is not permissible in Pakistan, they may be using the channels which are not recognized or which are not permissible in the government of Pakistan. So at that time, we do not recommend from Sharia perspective that obviously, if we say that the cryptocurrency is permissible, but the way you are buying, either you are compensated by cryptocurrency, then this is something else. You provided services outside Pakistan, and they have given you some current cryptocurrencies. This is something else. But the case is not this. 99%, those who are buying, who are achieving, targeting these cryptocurrencies, they are transferring their money outside Pakistan. Obviously, I don't know whether maybe permissible way, but I don't know. I think these are not permissible ways. So we do not recommend this. And secondly, this is a very new portfolio. So it will take time, what we say market correction time. It will take time. And but from all those who are expert in portfolio management, they are not recommending putting all the eggs in one basket. Those who are selling their commodities and properties and putting their money in this type of currency, I don't think that this is very wise way, or from the Sharia perspective, this is very recommended. Obviously, we cannot say that each and everything is not permissible in Sharia. Not everything is haram in Sharia, but sometimes we do not recommend. And also, lastly, I generally, when I discuss this thing, I generally say that exporting and sending huge amount of money outside Pakistan through this way. The first thing is it involves maybe money laundering, and also if it is not money laundering, it is if you use your permissible income, your proper income, obviously you are doing something for your benefit, which is not in favor of Pakistan. I don't think that this type of thing favor Pakistan unless you bring this amount. You give amount, bring your amount outside Pakistan, and then bring your capital gain inside Pakistan, which is not very much easy. So there are a lot of things from regulatory framework, from regulatory guideline, all these things becomes clear. So in that case, from Sharia perspective, we can give opinion that these are permissible ways and these are not permissible ways, and something which is not permitted by the government for the greater benefit of the country or for greater benefit of Muslim, then one should not be allowed to follow this way. So this is some preliminary things on crypto assets and cryptocurrencies.
Bilal, Rasul Sahab, you mentioned the regulatory sandbox guideline 2019 by SECP. For the benefit of our audience, maybe you can you highlight some of the key type of fintechs that you think or that are covered in this, because it's a very important step and that will probably set the pace for the future guidelines.
Well, I can offhand, I can tell you there is a P2P, a peer-to-peer fintech there. And I think I'm not certain if I remember properly, a crowdfunding one was also there. So, but I'll have to check off the cuff. I'm not sure.
We saw the first crowdfunding platform from Pakistan, which I think which was licensed by SECP. It was, I think it started functioning 2 months back. So, which is something a good news that now we are at least experimenting in this space. Another question for Mufti Irshad Sahab. People have mentioned about digital contracts. So that doing these contracts of buying and selling or investments or partnership or maybe financing digitally. So from a Sharia point of view, I like to have your quick view, and then from the regulatory point of view, is the regulation of Pakistan allows any contract which is that has taken place digitally, or the regulator acknowledge those contracts or not? Yes, Irshad.
Basically, from Sharia perspective, for any regulatory for any contract, there are involvement of two parties, from one an offerer and a second one who is the party that is accepting. So it is possible on physically, and also it is possible digitally. But how? There should be some standards. For example, I have seen a contract in which there is an offer from one party and acceptance from the other party digitally. So he fixed the code on machine that if you find Y, reply with 1, and if you find no, reply with 2. So there are some concern from Sharia perspective on this type of machine acceptance, whether this machine acceptance can be acceptable or not, or there are some parameters on the basis of which allow this type of acceptance permissible and this type of acceptance is not permissible. And you know that there are some companies who offered some type of acceptance from with geotagging and some other
OTP
options,
codes are
OTP and this type of thing. So in all the contract which are executed this way, these are permissible, because in these type of coding, OTP, geotagging, and other thing which ensure that a person was physically there, only the person has executed online. So he was not supposed to come physically online. So for our Sharia perspective, these type of contracts, smart contracts, whether for a sale, purchase, or partnership or rental, are permissible. But some contracts which are again the matter of debate on Sharia scholar, and the important of these contracts, one of the important contracts is the machine acceptance or machine offer and physical acceptance. So these are under discussion. Maybe there is a solution for that. But these contracts are very small in quantity, I think 5 to 10%. Major contracts, because from the regulatory perspective, from the risk perspective, machine acceptance is one of the riskier thing, because the person can deny later on that I was not there and the machine was there. So generally, those who are from the legal perspective also, all the lawyers say that in case you want to execute a contract online, that you should ensure that the person who is doing this contract should be there at their side. Even physically is not present, but at least online he should be present, and do not go for machine acceptance. But I think this matter will be solved in coming future, inshallah.
Thank you. Bilal Saab, the same question, how the law currently treat those contracts. And another supplementary question is, we have seen this tokenization of sukuk, or maybe using the fintech, issuing a small denominated token of the sukuk for a public, so they can easily invest and trade in the Sharia compliant assets. So your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, that is the idea. I think the tokenization light sukuk is something that we're working on right now. And I think, yes, again, to link it to the financial inclusion question that you had, that is very important. And as you go smaller, you have more financially included people, and the opportunity and the avenues for creating more investment opportunities. So definitely that is an area that is worked on. And the first question, Ahmed, was about smart
digital
contracts.
contracts, their acceptability as per the regulator, and how we.
Like I said, we're working on it right now. It's in the pipeline. We're in the process of formulating the law right now. So this is just for the conventional, in terms of the Sharia side of that will come obviously after that. That will be subsequent to the conventional law.
So I think thank you very much. This brings us to the end of the session today. Again, this is an emerging topic. This is a very exciting topic actually, and we all of us probably have some questions and queries, because we all want to learn. The regulator is excited about it. They are exploring it, and that's why this session was planned with the support of SECP, that let's discuss and debate and create awareness of this emerging trend. Alhamdulillah, our Sharia experts are also very keenly watching these trends. Mufti Irshad Aijaz Sahab is like virtually probably part of all the discussions that we see related to the digitization and the digital regulation, the cryptocurrency. So it's a good news that we have started the discussion. Maybe a bit late, but now nevertheless we are now taking it seriously. We are discussing it. The regulator, the banking industry, the financial sector, the Sharia scholars are debating it, and we hope to continue these types of discussions in the future. This is again our effort, our humble effort by IBA Center for Excellence in Islamic Finance to educate, to promote, to create awareness on these new emerging technologies, new topics. I once again like to thank all the participants who have joined us today. I like to thank my panelists. And just for concluding remarks, I will request Bilal Saab for concluding the session.
All right, Jazakallah, Ahmed. Again, appreciate your efforts, Ahmed. Mufti Irshad Saab, this is not your last webinar. We would like to have you on again. Thank you, participants. Again, just a side note again that, still a little nascent in terms of where we are. But we would like your views, we'd like your input. We will learn from you as well. Any issues, what are the problems that you foresee, any aspect. We will be having more webinars in the future, but other than webinars, you can always drop us an email or a line or something, and inshallah we will be here again with some other topic. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah, Mufti Saab, Jazakallah, Bilal Saab, Jazakallah, all the participants. With this, I'd like to close the webinar. May Allah accept our efforts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.